This is a Halo gravity hammer. Now, let me tell you how I got my hands on this thing. You might remember from one of my last videos that I participated in the 405th Canadian Regiment's Secret Santa. I had made Shankers a gift because I drew his name, and that was the helmet with all the teeth and stuff on it, and I had hand-delivered it to Shankers, and while I was there, he had mentioned to me that he was actually supposed to be giving me a gift, but it wasn't ready when I was up there. He lives kind of a long ways away. So since then, I've been waiting for the opportunity to go pick up my present from Shankers. And it just so happens that that opportunity came last weekend at Comic-Con. So Shankers brought this thing to downtown Toronto to Comic-Con, where he met me, and hand-delivered it to me in person. And let me just say, when you're walking around downtown Toronto with this thing in your hand, everyone just wants a picture with you. Ton of fun. This is such a cool hammer. I mean, look at it. It's taller than me. It's taller than Shankers, too, and he's like 1,000,000 feet tall. So obviously, this hammer is really, really cool. Shankers has done most of the hard work for me. There's just a little bit I have to do, so I just gotta sand down some of the rough edges, you know, if there's a dull knife or whatever, clean that up, fill in any gaps, and then we can paint the thing and have a lot of fun with it. So, that's what we're doing in this video. I got myself a little Dremel tool here on a snake, and we're just gonna attempt to... Hold on. So here's the thing, I don't think my workspace is big enough to deal with prop like this. It's made out of foam, by the way. It's just EVA foam, floor mats cut up, and the main base of it is a big piece of PVC pipe got from Home Depot. There we go. So yeah, we're gonna try and... Oh boy. No, there's no space over here. So yeah, we're gonna try and clean this up. So now what I'm going to go ahead and try to do is seal this foam a little bit. Now I didn't do this when I made the Master Chief suit, but apparently this helps when you're painting it and stuff, because foam kind of has a bunch of little bubbles in it, and if you seal it in, it'll be easier to paint over that. So I bought myself basically the cheapest heat gun that they're selling at Home Depot. This was 65 bucks. Just going to kind of go over the whole thing with the heat gun and hopefully close in some of these holes and stuff. See how it goes. Well, I think that works quite well. I think it's nicely sealed now. It certainly has a different texture to it. It almost creates this like thin shell on the outside. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it downstairs and I'm going to get some... Oh, I'm out of Quick Seal, aren't I? Well, I'm going to grab some Quick Seal. And with the Quick Seal, I'm going to kind of fill in these gaps. Okay, so I've got the hammer completely sealed with the Quick Seal and all the seams. It looks quite nice. I also added these two little bridging pieces here. So now what I'm going to go ahead and do is seal this hammer in. I got some Plasti Dip here. This is so that way when I paint it, the paint doesn't get absorbed into the foam, but sits on top. It kind of acts like a primer. So we're going to go ahead and do that now. I got here some gray primer. I know it's not technically completely necessary to put a primer because I already have the Plasti Dip, but I find the paint tends to sit on there a little nicer with some primer, so that's the way I do it. That'll work, eh? I think we're in good shape now. Here I'm doing a black base coat to prep the hammer before I do the actual color. For the main color I use Silver Leaf Rub and Buff, and I'm putting it on a bit lighter in some areas to give it more of a stone-like finish. Then I cut out some strips of faux leather to wrap around the handle section, and these were just hot glued in place around the handle. Okay, so I got the rub and buff done and the leather done. And I'm just not too sure I am entirely satisfied with the way it's looking right now. I think, first thing, I think the leather might look a little bit too clean. I'm not too sure about that quite yet. But with the actual hammerhead itself, as you can see, I tried to do a little bit of shading with the rub and buff. But the thing about rub and buff is it's either like completely on or not at all. So where I tried to do this like, you know, half on, this like, you know, somewhat color right here, I don't know if it just looks a little messy or if it actually looks like it's got a cool texture. I'm not too sure there. So I went to the 4/5 to ask them what I should change about the hammer, because I'm not exactly satisfied with what it's looking like right now. And so I think the consensus is that, first of all, the hammer is missing a lot of contrast. If you look at some of the reference pictures from the actual hammer in Halo Reach, you can see that there's a lot more black up here and only like little hints of silver every once in a while. And that's what really gives the hammer its texture. The way I have it right now, it's more uniform, so it doesn't pop as much. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to get the airbrush and do a bunch of shadows up here. And then I'm also going to do a black wash and kind of dab it off. Basically, we're going to do a lot more weathering. So I got the shadows with the airbrush, and then we'll do a black wash. And I think I'll even do the black wash over the leather as well to hopefully bring the color down just a little bit, because I think in the game it's slightly darker. So let's give that a try. Okay, so I think we're going to do a little more in the weathering department here. I really like how the airbrush turned out on the hammer. There's a couple more things I want to do. I'm going to take the Dremel and probably some other sandpaper as well, and kind of do a whole bunch of scratches and cuts down the length of this blade just to make it a little more accurate to what it is in the game. And then I'm going to take my black paint, water it down, and kind of do a wash over the whole thing, dabbing most of it off. And I think that'll really even out the weathering on the hammer, and I think that'll kind of wrap it up and make it look quite nice. Here I'm doing just a little bit of dry brushing on the edges to give the sharp corners a bit more contrast. Okay, I think that's pretty much done. We got the rub and buff on there, and we got the shadows done with the airbrush, lots of weathering with a regular brush, and then I even did a little bit of dry brushing with the silver on the blade here at the back. I'm pretty happy with how the paint looks at the moment, so I'm going to go ahead and seal it all in with a clear coat. I have a nice matte finish for it, so we're just going to seal it up. There we go! It's all done. Now I have a very nice hammer added to my arsenal. I think the guys on the 405th gave me some pretty helpful tips, because I am really satisfied with the paint job, and I especially liked the leather wrap around the handle with the shadows. I think it brings it all together quite nicely. I actually got suited up the other day and took a few quick photos under the magnolia tree over here. My brother managed to capture this really nice one where I'm sitting on the ground and my hammer's leaning against the tree. It actually seemed to be pretty popular too, because I posted it on my Instagram and now it's the most liked picture there, and it got about 4,000 upvotes on Reddit as well. I mean, hey, I like the picture too. I just didn't expect that many people to see it. And remember, I didn't even make this hammer. It was actually a gift from Shankers for the Secret Santa. I find it funny that we're finally wrapping up the Secret Santa in April. Actually, it'll probably be May by the time you see this video. But I've already thanked Shankers about 1,000,000 times for such a cool gift. But it is such a cool gift, so thanks again, Shankers. I think this weapon is going to be my go-to for a while. I had a lot of fun painting it. Thank you guys for joining me.